If this is you, then you already know the feeling, the way her energy shifts. One day she's laughing at your messages, leaning in closer, sharing her world with you, and the next, she's cold, distant, distracted. You notice the pauses between her replies grow longer, the warmth in her voice fades, and suddenly, the woman who once made you feel alive is now acting like a stranger. Maybe this feels familiar. You're staring at your phone, checking if she's read your message, wondering why she hasn't responded. You replay the last conversation in your head, combing through every word, every silence, every tiny detail. Asking yourself, what did I do wrong? You think back to that one moment she seemed off, and now your mind won't let you rest. You feel it in your chest, that tightness, that unease. You start questioning yourself, was I too much? Too little? Did I say something? Did she meet someone else? It's almost like a storm building inside you, and no matter what you do, the thoughts won't stop. You keep imagining her pulling further and further away, and the fear of losing her feels heavier than anything you've carried in a long time. If this is you, then you know the torture of silence. The way it plays tricks on your mind, makes you second-guess your worth, makes you want to chase after her just to get some kind of answer. Because when someone you care about suddenly pulls away, it's not just confusing, it cuts deep. It feels like rejection, abandonment, and heartbreak all rolled into one. And the worst part? You don't know whether to reach out harder or to step back. You don't know if giving her space means losing her forever, or if holding on tighter will push her even further away. You're stuck between wanting her back and fearing that you already lost her. But here's the truth. When a woman distances herself, it isn't always the end. In fact, how you handle that distance will decide everything. Because the moment she pulls away, she's not just testing her feelings for you. She's testing something far deeper within you. So let me ask you this. When she ignores you, when she withdraws, when every instinct inside you is screaming to chase her, will you do the one thing that makes her regret pulling away? Or will you do what most men do and lose her without even realizing why? When a woman distances herself and begins to ignore you, most men panic. They think the only way to bring her back is to do more, text her again, call her, explain themselves, fight for her attention. But here's the reality. That reaction is exactly what makes her slip further away. The truth is, the moment you start chasing, pleading, or over-explaining, you hand away your authority. You stop being the man she was drawn to in the first place and become the man who's controlled by fear of losing her. This is where so many men get it wrong. They think persistence equals strength, but in reality, chasing comes from weakness. It's born from insecurity, from the need to hold on to something they feel slipping through their fingers. And women can sense that instantly. A man who cannot sit in silence, a man who cannot hold his ground when she withdraws, is a man who reveals he has no foundation of his own. You have to understand something. Distance is not always rejection. Sometimes it's testing, sometimes it's confusion, sometimes it's her pulling back to see if you'll crumble or if you'll remain solid. And that's where calm masculine authority comes in. True strength isn't in chasing after her when she pulls away. It's in standing firm, in knowing your value, and allowing her to come back to you if she chooses. One of the deepest masculine principles is restraint. The ability to hold back, to not act out of impulse, to control the storm inside of you, rather than unleash it in desperation. Most men were never taught this. They were taught that love means constant pursuit, that attention means care, that more effort always equals more results. But in the masculine frame, the opposite is often true. The man who can remain composed in the face of uncertainty, the man who does not beg for validation when it's withheld, that man commands respect even when words aren't spoken. Another principle is self-possession. You cannot be a man who loses himself when she pulls away. You must be anchored in who you are, regardless of whether she's warm or distant, because if her silence makes you unravel, then your confidence was never real. It was conditional on her attention. But when your strength is real, when it comes from within, her pulling away only reveals the gap between men who lead themselves and men who are led by their emotions. So the next time she ignores you, understand this. Your instinct may be to chase, but your power lies in holding back. Your calmness is not weakness, it's clarity. Your silence is not avoidance, it's discipline. Most men will crumble when faced with her distance, but if you can stand still, grounded, unshaken, she will feel something rare. She will feel that she cannot control you, and in that realization, she'll remember exactly why she was drawn to you in the first place. He sat in his car long after the engine had gone quiet, staring at the glow of his phone screen. Her last message was short, distant, cold in a way that didn't match the warmth she used to give so freely. He scrolled back through old conversations, reading the good mornings that used to light up his day, the late-night confessions that once felt like they belonged to only him. Now the space between her words was heavy, empty, almost like silence had become her new language. The city around him moved on, headlights streaking across wet pavement, the hum of life continuing without pause. But inside it felt like everything had stopped. He whispered to himself, "What happened? Did I do something?" His chest tightened as he remembered the last time they were together. She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. She hugged him, but her arms lingered just a second less than before. And when she pulled away, it felt like she took something with her. That night he lay in bed staring at the ceiling, the glow of his phone burning into the side of his vision. Every vibration made his heart jump, but more often than not, it wasn't her. When it finally was, it was just another short, lifeless reply. He typed, erased, retyped, drafting messages that explained how much he cared, how confused he felt, how badly he wanted her back to how she used to be. But something inside him told him to stop. He remembered the last time he'd chased, how it made her retreat even more, how his desperation only created distance. He turned off the phone, set it face down on the nightstand, and closed his eyes. For the first time, he sat in the silence instead of trying to escape it. His thoughts swirled. Maybe she's testing me. Maybe she needs space. Maybe she's pulling away just to see if I'll fall apart. But another thought cut through the noise, sharp and grounding. Or maybe this is about me. Maybe this is the moment I find out if I can stand strong, even when she pulls away. The days that followed were strange. He still felt the ache, the pull to reach out, to close the gap. But instead of chasing, he carried himself differently. He hit the gym harder, not to distract himself, but to remind himself of who he was before she ever came along. He walked taller, spoke slower. He carried a calmness that surprised even him. And when his phone buzzed, he no longer rushed to it like a lifeline. One evening, sitting alone in his favorite cafe, he sipped coffee and let the world pass by. The seat across from him was empty, and yet, for the first time in weeks, he didn't feel empty himself. He thought back to the version of him who begged for attention, who tried to explain his worth to someone slipping away, and he realized that man was gone. In his place sat someone steadier, someone who could endure silence without collapsing. And then, almost as if the universe had been waiting for this moment, her name lit up his phone. Not a short, cold message this time, but a longer one, a softer one. He looked at it, felt the rush of emotion surge up again, and smiled faintly. Because in that instant he understood something. The power wasn't in chasing after her. The power was in standing still, in being unshaken. She had pulled away, but instead of losing himself, he found himself, and that was exactly what drew her back. One of the biggest lies men believe when a woman distances herself is that the solution is to give more calls, more texts, more explanations. But here's the truth: the more you try to fill the silence with effort, the more she feels smothered. A woman doesn't pull away because she needs more of you. Most of the time she pulls away because she needs to see if you can stand on your own without her constant validation. Another false belief is that her distance means you've failed as a man. You start thinking, if she's ignoring me, I must have done something wrong. I'm not enough. But distance isn't always about rejection. Often it's about reflection. She's checking if you'll collapse under pressure, or if you can hold steady when things get uncertain. That moment isn't about her deciding your worth. It's about you showing yourself that your worth doesn't change, even when she's unsure. And maybe the most damaging belief is that silence is the end, that her ignoring you is the final nail in the coffin. But the truth is, silence can be the beginning if you handle it with strength. Most men panic, but the man who can breathe through the tension, who doesn't react out of fear, suddenly becomes rare. He becomes the man she can't easily push away because he isn't chasing approval, he's grounded in himself. She didn't ghost you, you disappeared from yourself. When she goes quiet, your reaction speaks louder than her silence. If her distance breaks you, it wasn't her you lost, it was your center. The moment she pulls back is not the moment you should crumble, it's the moment you're invited to rise. Not by begging for her to come back, but by proving to yourself that even if she doesn't, you're still whole. And ironically, that's the exact moment she begins to feel the weight of your presence again. The 1% head man doesn't react the way most men do when a woman pulls away. While others chase, overthink, or try to fix what they can't control, he remains calm. This is what he understands. Her distance is not a command for him to abandon himself. It's an invitation to reveal whether he's truly anchored in who he is. He doesn't take her silence as proof that he's losing her. He takes it as a test of his own presence. This is how he leads with presence, not pressure, by showing he can stand firm, grounded, even when emotions run high. He doesn't force, doesn't beg, doesn't collapse. Instead, he stays rooted in his own rhythm, and that steadiness becomes magnetic. The 1% head man's mindset is simple. If she chooses to return, it's because she feels the strength of a man who didn't break. And if she doesn't, he still walks forward with his dignity intact. That's the difference. While most men let distance destroy their center, the head man uses it to sharpen his own. And in that quiet strength, he shows that his value was never dependent on her closeness. It was always within him. He stared at the silence like it was a mirror. Every unread message, every delayed reply, every empty pause was showing him something he hadn't wanted to face. For days, he thought her distance was about her feelings, her confusion, her choices. But sitting there, phone in hand, he suddenly realized it was about him. It wasn't her silence that was crushing him. It was his own fear of being alone, his own belief that her attention defined his worth. That truth landed heavy, but strangely, it also set him free. Because if her distance could shake him this much, then maybe the real problem wasn't losing her. Maybe it was losing himself. In that quiet moment, he stopped refreshing the screen, stopped replaying old conversations, stopped searching for signs in her absence. Instead, he remembered the man he was before the waiting began, the one who had dreams, passions, and a center that wasn't built on someone else's presence. And with that memory came a shift. He didn't need to chase her anymore. He didn't need her silence to end before he could breathe again. He realized he already had everything he was trying to find in her, within himself. So when she withdraws, when the replies fade, when her silence feels louder than words, you don't chase. You don't beg. You don't lose yourself in the shadows of what she withholds. You stand steady. You remember that her distance is not your downfall, it's your defining moment. Because the man who can remain whole in the face of her absence is the man who commands respect in her presence. And the truth you carry forward is this: her silence does not measure your worth, your stillness proves it.